lelo. Garma garam mutual fund returns, lelo. Best returns. Come on, sir. Excuse, please. What category of mutual fund are you interested in?
Sir, show me a very good balanced advantage fund, sir.
Sir, how did you select balanced advantage fund? Small cap gave the best returns last year. This is the one for you.
Sir, which fund in small cap, sir?
Well, you can choose between A and B, but A is best because the returns are best. Simple.
But B मेरे हिसाब से better है. थोड़ा return कम है, but
Sir, इतना मत दिमाग लगाओ. A has the best returns. This is for you. Finish story.
but this is not the risk appetite or investment horizon we're looking for.
Sir, risk appetite, Sharpe ratio, beta, all of these things is all nonsense. Get the best mutual fund with the best returns. Like this one. Something was obviously wrong with that sales pitch. I mean, can you really select a mutual fund based on the highest returns? And we'll do a simple experiment to prove whether this actually works or not. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad, because clearly those guys really won't. So let's start with the first activity. You've probably never invested in a mutual fund and are thinking to start your first SIP. But you know, the internet is filled with the best mutual fund returns. You'll see videos, reels, blogs, articles, even very nice apps finding the best returned mutual fund for you. But is this the right way to even think about selecting a mutual fund? So we thought we'll start with an activity. So this first activity is really interesting. What we want to do is invest in mutual funds which had the highest return and hold them for a really long period of time. Now, the interesting thing here is the highest mutual fund returns will obviously beat the index. So if we're able to hold on to these winners for a long time, we should make 2 times, 3 times, 5 times of what the market is giving. So let's turn this into a game. What we'll do is we'll select any fund which has at least a 10-year performance history. That way we'll get some good funds which have some history we can actually backtest. Second, we'll select mutual funds with at least 500 crore AUM. And what I'll do is I'll select data from 2011 and start investing in this backtest in 2012. Then I'll continue to invest in them all the way to 2020. That's 9 years. That's a good amount of data, isn't it? Also, I'll select 4 kinds of funds or 4 categories of funds right here so that we don't have too many categories. Notice all of them are equity. Now what I'll do is I'll invest in the top 3 funds of 2011, but I'm investing in 2012. And just to be fair, I'll invest 10,000 in each of these funds. Now in 2013, I'll do the same thing. I'll take out 2012's data, find the top 3 funds, invest 10,000 in each of them. And I'll repeat this every single year, always investing in the top 3 mutual funds, looking at the previous year's data. Now I want you to think about this. For 9 years, this investment happened. We were totally algorithmic about it and quantitative about it. We didn't select it out of any emotion, and we always selected the top returning funds. So this should work. We should beat the index by 4 or 5 times, right? And we did this over a long period of time, right? So let's see what the results are. So remember, we've invested 30,000 rupees every year for 9 years, which means we've invested how much? 2.7 lakh rupees. Now let me open the results to see how much money we would have made on 1st of December 2020. We would have made an amazing 5.7 lakh rupees. Okay? And that's an annualized return of 12.6%. 12.6%? Doesn't Nifty give roughly that much? Despite investing in the top 3 funds every year, we didn't beat the index by a large percentage. I don't know why. Why is it 12.6%? Maybe the rules were off. So let's do one thing. Let's do activity number 2. And if you know why we only returned 12.6%, put it in the comments and tell me what you thought of activity 1. Let's move to activity 2. This time, we'll have an exit strategy. And because of this, we'll be able to hold on to our winners and exit the losers. That should beat the index. Let's keep all the rules the same. We'll have the same universe, the same category. We'll select the top 3 mutual funds every single year on the basis of returns. But we should exit the losers. Now, I want you to imagine certain funds are performing very well, but let's say 2 funds actually fall and don't do well. It drags the entire portfolio down. So what if, in case number 2, we can get rid of these bad performing mutual funds and hold on to the winners? After all the great investors have said, cut your losers, hold on to winners. So let's add a rule. How about, as soon as the ranking of some of our selections goes below the top 40, so it becomes 41 or 42 or more, we exit that mutual fund. Remember, if the returns are low, we should exit them in this case study. So let's add this as a rule. And because of this exit strategy, now it seems like the returns should be slightly better, right? So let's see the results. I have it right here. Drum roll, please. The returns are a staggering 12.9%. I want you to think about this a little bit. Despite holding on to the best mutual fund winners, the top 3 over a period of time, and exiting the ones which were giving a loss, which did not perform very well, we still made only 12.9%. And after doing all of this, compare that to Nifty's CAGR. There is hardly any difference. So one thing's for sure, mutual funds are subject to market risk. Please read the offer document carefully because past returns are not indicative of future performance. So, एक चीज तो clear है. If a mutual fund has performed well in the past, it does not mean it will continue to be a winner. The answer is, this is not the metric to look at when you select a mutual fund. So what were the reasons for activity number 2 to not do well? Well, the first reason is, in many cases, when we selected a top 3 mutual fund, for the next few years, they actually did not do well. Their returns did not follow up or were equal to that best performing year. So overall, the returns were reduced. The second reason is that a lot of high performing mutual funds in this study tended to have many years of low performance. Again, this dragged the overall performance. And the third is a little quantitative, but check this out. 13 out of the 27 investments were actually the bottom half of performance in the very next year, which means as soon as you selected a good fund on the basis of returns, the very next year they formed the bottom half, which means they did not perform as well. It's very simple, and like I said before, the metric to choose a mutual fund cannot be returns. It does not help in any way to select a mutual fund. You know, in 2023, the small cap index gave a phenomenal return. And when you go back in time, it gave another phenomenal return. And you go back again, it gave another phenomenal return. But for the rest of the time, it was mediocre. People barely even noticed it. But nowadays, people talk about small cap returns a lot. What do you think? What's going to happen over the next few years? Probabilistically, is it going to be mediocre? Or is it going to continue to give fantastic returns for the next 3, 4, 5 years? Put it in the comments below. Okay, we understood all of this, but how do you actually pick a mutual fund? What's the solution? So here's what we'll do. You can use a quantitative or a qualitative factor. How can we cover all of this in this 10-minute video? But I have a special weapon in my hand, and it's called the SPIVA report. Now, if we see India's data, for 1 year, we can see 83.33% of funds underperformed the S&P BSE 100. So the question is, how can a managed fund by a fund manager not beat a passive fund? Because there's no management to be done by an index fund. Index fund is what? It's like Nifty or Sensex, and a mutual fund simply replicates that index. And index funds also don't charge that high a management fee because there's not much to manage. And this is for large caps. The same test by SPIVA has been done on ELSS, small caps, even mid caps. So you can check that out over here. I'll do one more thing. That was just 1 year data. Let me open, say, 5-year data. You can see in the 5-year data, 92.86, that's almost 93%, of funds underperformed the index. In other words, only 7% of funds actually beat the index. This is interesting. Even on a 10-year period, 61% of funds underperformed. Now, as a whole, it's probably really tough to pick a mutual fund unless you really understand the market well and can go through all these ratios and make a selection. So if you're starting to actually invest in the market, the best way to get your hands dirty and get some experience is start a SIP. And an index fund is the best way to start that. There are a whole host to actually choose from. Take your pick, start with a small amount, and soon, later, you can add a step up, which means add a certain amount every year based on how much your income actually increases. This is a great way to get started investing in the market. We're also creating this de-influencing series by looking at the internet, which we call the infinite greed machine, which is trying to tempt you into doing greedy stuff, like trying to find a way to double your money, which actually can't happen. Or maybe it can, who knows? And we have an entire playlist called De-Influencing where we talk about everything from MLM to loan apps. Check out the entire series and tell us what you think about today's episode as well. We drop a new episode every single week. See you in the next one.
lelo, mutual fund lelo, garam, best return. Ajo, sir, Aji.
Sir, what do you want? मैं कुछ ही बोल सकता हूँ क्या?